So I recently had a conversation with someone who said, I've never really played video games. I don't get why people like them. And while I feel that she kind of answered her own statement, I felt compelled to talk about it because they've always been a big part of my life. And since I was a kid, I thought there was no better way to make friends than inviting someone over to watch me play video games. Now, if we go way back, one of my first gaming experiences was when I was about 4 years old, and my dad gave me a Nintendo 64. And what made me really fall in love with Nintendo was how they made me feel like I was something I could never be in real life. An Italian man. Now, at the time, my dad really didn't know what video games were, and I remember he was just watching me play for a while, then after a bit he said, "Wow, I can't believe how much content they can put in these games." Then a year or two later, when I was still playing the same game, he seemed to think something might be wrong and asked if I wanted some help. I said I could figure it out myself, and it took me 4 years, but I got there, and when Christmas came around, he got me a brand new game as a present. Then my brother gave me the strategy guide for it and said, "I hate to see you struggle." In the end, though, joke's on him, I couldn't read. So since I was about 9 or 10, one of my favorite genres of games has always been RPGs because you don't need friends to play. And one of the first RPGs I got into was RuneScape. And what I liked about it was that you have all these different skills like woodcutting, fire making, fishing, and all sorts of stuff you could level up and really make your character unique. And I figured, hey, I can totally reinvent myself on here to be whatever I want to be. That'll make me happy. It didn't work, but, live and learn. Which I didn't. Now, I don't want to paint the picture that video games are always life's answer, because when I was about 13 or 14, like most kids my age, I was pretty self-conscious and had a lot of emotions that I didn't know how to deal with. I remember there was a real turning point for me when I came home from school really frustrated with the other kids, and I needed a way to vent out that anger, and of course I knew not to take that out on anyone in real life, but shooting a computer player with a bow and arrow wasn't cutting it, so I left the fantasy games behind and found something more realistic and first person. I went online, found someone, and even though my aim wasn't very good, I remember actually saying, "Take that, bitch," as I was blasting them in the face. But yeah, that's how I discovered porn. So after working through my emotions in FPS, one of the best years of my life was when I was about 14 or 15, and everyone was really excited about StarCraft. Like most real-time strategy games, StarCraft was pretty brutal because you can never relax. Not only are you always doing something in the game, you're always trying to improve your level of play by practicing outside the game. And every day when I came home from school, all my friends would be in a Skype call discussing our replays and how to get better. And being one of the first big esports, I thought, I want to be really good. So I played it about 6 hours a day for over a year, to the point my life practically revolved around the game. And eventually, after putting in a few thousand hours, I got to the point I was very briefly one of the top 10 on the ladder and got to play with some of the guys that I idolized. Unfortunately, that didn't last too long, and I was never quite good enough to go to tournaments and make money, but after I left the game, it was the first time I didn't regret any of the time I'd lost, because I truly achieved a goal that I set for myself, and I realized that if it weren't for that experience, I would have missed some of the most valuable lessons I've ever learned. Like, sex can wait, and no matter how good you are, there will always be a million Koreans better than you. And so since my StarCraft experience, I haven't really played any video games because I could never really get into anything in the same way again, and I'd barely touched a gamer controller all the way up until a few weeks ago when my dad moved, and I had some old stuff in his attic I had to go through, and I came across my Nintendo 64 and all my games, so I took them home, had a good experience reliving some of those memories, but not only that, I even found my own Donkey Kong strategy guide, and just like I remembered, I'd barely used it. So before I go reminisce on better times, recently I've been building the website casuallyexplained.com with Squarespace, and it would make me very happy if you go check it out and let me know what you'd like to see there besides videos and merch. I was thinking of having an MS Paint competition. They've also been nice enough to sponsor today's video, so if you'd like to make your own website but don't know how to code anything, you can be like me and drop out of software engineering, then go to squarespace.com/explained to start your free trial and get 10% off your first purchase. And if you have a problem, like with the website, they have 24/7, 365-day support. So try it for free at squarespace.com/explained and use the coupon code casuallyexplained if you'd like to pull the trigger and get 10% off your first purchase.